might not make sense, but we have to get this under control now because this is something that we are legally bound by Idaho code. And so my struggle is, do we make these departments pay for the inaction of this, what should have been done a long time ago? That's what I'm struggling with. And I don't want any of the departments, police, streets, and that to be caught up in this.
So with that, there's a motion. Do I have a second?
Mr. Mayor,
Councilman
I'd like to amend my motion.
Go ahead, Councilman Sanders.
I'd like to amend my motion. We move to approve option 1, and that any funds necessary to be transferred from contingency in order to make the project cost balance be authorized.
Second.
It's been motioned and seconded. Any further discussion?
If I might ask a legal question, should the motion include to utilize the funds from the prior impact fee study?
Yeah.
So the 8,000
There
in
are
the
some.
impact fees.
Yeah, $32,000, so $8,000 for each department.
The way he phrased it, however, to make it balance. I would assume that that's included in it, but for clarification purposes.
Thank you.
Sanders.
Paul's very intuitive. He's correct in his interpretation of my motion.
Okay, it's been motioned and seconded. Any further discussion? Hearing none, I'll call for the question. Councilman Harjo.
Aye.
Councilwoman Workla.
Aye.
Councilman McCarthy.
Aye.
Councilman Sanders.
Aye.
All right. Thank you. We're going to run down to number 6, action deliberation decision to reinstate resolution 2025R, thereby reinstating the Planning and Zoning Commission to serve in the Capacity Development Impact Fee Committee. The reason I asked this one to be on here, or actually I would have it on this one, is because I only had 5 applicants that put in per the Idaho code. All 5 transcribed themselves as all developers. So with this, my thought process would be to reinstate the P&Z and take out of the 5 applicants, 2 of the applicants, and place them on P&Z. That was kind of my my thought process out of the 5 applicants, because right now you have 5 applicants that are all developers, and I need, if number 2 and 2, yeah. So the P&Z already made sure that we are already good with DIFAC. So my thought process, once again, taken out of the 5, just take 2. But like I said, I got to interview all the 5 and say, hey, do you want to sit on PNC too? So that might whittle it down to just 2. So that was my plan. So that's my ask of this council.
Mr. Mayor,
Councilman Sanders.
is the plan you just presented going to increase the number of seats on P&Z?
It will, sir.
Then that will require, will it not, an amendment to several legal documents the city uses to run that committee? Because right now
I can
you've
add
got a
up to
prescribed
11.
number of seats.
I think so. I think it says, but I don't know.
Well, the law has a window,
Right.
but I think our ordinance has a specific number in it.
11.
11.
11.
11 is the number.
Then no, if that's correct.
That is correct.
And
It was as little as 5.
T is always correct. so
All
that's-
yeah, exactly. All the way up to 11.
I read it Friday afternoon with Brenda.
Okay.
Unless you guys amended it since then.
No.
Might have.
Just saying.
So council, what do you got?
Mayor,
Councilman McCarthy.
so I have first question. Who designed the application for the DIFAC? The 8-page, or excuse me, the 8 questions that they had on that application. Who designed that?
It was with legal and myself.
So on the city website, they have who should apply, and it says qualified applicants may experience and have background in such areas, development, construction, real estate, or other related fields. And I know that the application has those check boxes there. So my question, and I'm going off of my HR profession, when I look at this application and this advertisement of it, it came off very strong that we were only looking for these individuals that are in those fields, where there could have been better language to push out saying that we are looking for anyone interested in it, and you might have these things, but necessarily it doesn't disqualify you. So when I go through the application and I see that we have applicants who applied, to me it's very much of the application came off as, well, do you just have experience of whatnot in this? And so when you look at the applicants, we had someone that is a contractor, an electrician, a applicant who is a hardware store owner, another applicant who's a program manager, PE, and then another applicant who's a retired self-employed that does consultant for Access. So talking with Jeff, the question becomes, is it someone is automatically disqualified as someone by Idaho code who's in development, real estate, or building when it is not their, I'll say, profession of it. So the discussion on that when I had with Jeff is, well, this is a very good question because it seems like it doesn't come up much with, well, what if somebody has, well, the individual applicant, I'll say number 3, who had the hardware store owner, well, they had put that they do things with their private property when it comes to building and that. So does that automatically disqualify them?
I would say no.
So right there, we already have one person that meets the non-development field.
I'm not aware of a single case anywhere where, and it wouldn't be a DIFAC, it would be more like P&Z, where somebody was challenged because of what their exact profession was. I've never heard of it, but
So I guess my question is, I understand your concern and you'd brought it up in the email that you had sent in about this. I mean, we didn't even get the application out for a month. And to me, it's a little bit frustrating, but we can turn around in less than 14 days and get a golf advisory committee. And so, which I applaud. And so when I look at this application, I kind of have to say, I don't think it should have taken a month to come up with that application. Even I know that government runs slow and trying to do it right. And so really, we've only had this announcement out for a month. And now if we already have one applicant who meets that non-development piece, I would really consider looking at another applicant to see if they meet that, where they are a retired self-employment, they actually work for ITD, but because they do some consulting on the side and that, does that make them for access, consulting for an access, does that mean that they're in construction or building and all that? And that's kind of where I'm asking this body is to, and thank you, Tiffany, for sending out the applications, is I think we really need to screen how this application was done, that it might mislead what these actual professions are. We have a contractor, a local contractor, and we have an electrician. Those meet the 2 requirements of the development, which is building, construction, or real estate. We already have one that's a local hardware store owner here. So while I understand that this administration wants to reinstitute this resolution, I guess my question is that should we give more time and let also some follow-up consideration for this application? Because again, looking at it, it's very skewed to have applicants answer that they have some experience where it might just be private. Another thing I'd like for this body to consider is that the DIFAC in the past was a unpaid volunteer position. And so while this idea of putting everything to P&Z might sound great because we meet it, that is going to now incur a cost because there's a $60 cost that we have there. And as someone who was on the DIFAC that worked with the county EMS project and that, I can say we had quite a few meetings last year. And when I talked to Jeff today, the push is to have the DIFAC meet once a month for city to keep a pulse on this growth rate and the projects and also the impact fees so it does not come to what we are now dealing with, and also meeting bi-monthly with the county. So if you take 5 people on that and add up the math, you're talking over $5,000 that we could be adding when we put these to P&Z. So again, I think there's a cost consideration there that we have to think of. And lastly, I'll say for right now, why would we want to turn away people who are experts in their field on this by the experience, I should say, that they have, and dismiss another independent body that can help keep an eye on this CIP, which we are very much under Idaho code? Again, because are we against having another checks and balance to make sure we don't get in the same position that we're at? Where we put it in P&Z, it might end up exactly like we did last time, because the CIP when it was first drafted, was not listened to the DIFACT experts and said about the cost of the projects, the growth rate assumptions, which were well over 4% initially, and that all those things need to be consideration. And those expertise were not listened to, and now we're at where we're at. So again, I ask that we have a little more scrutiny on these applications. If it's so be, you could always bring two individuals from P&Z over. There are other cities that I know of that you have P&Z members that are also on the impact fee DIFAC, but a separate body. So I'll get off my soapbox.
Councilman Harjo.
Councilman McCarthy, through your dialogue in this, you've pointed out that there's overlap in P and Z. Our development impact fee chapter and title in Idaho code says expressly, an existing planning or zoning commission may serve as a development impact fee advisory committee for the governing authority. You've mentioned the dollar impact to it, without also then considering that there is additional staff time for department heads that already work a 8 to 5, excuse me, adding more dates to the calendar that those people are both on the clock and away from their families after hours. All of the considerations that you've pointed out here highlight the fact that our existing planning and zoning commission not only was capable of it, but other cities have utilized them in this, whether that's a carryover of 2 or a carryover of 5. The very arguments that you've made against the planning and zoning commission, both in the presentation that you gave several months back and tonight, highlight specifically that planning and zoning is actually the most equipped, the most efficient, and the most efficient with dollars and the best use of staff time. That's exactly what that highlights. So I'm not understanding where the perspective that the existing planning and zoning was unqualified, could not be impartial in land use. That was literally on your slide, that they are incapable of being impartial in land use. That is specifically their role under 6765 of Idaho Code, specifically. That is a very codified and very rigid format. I don't really understand where the axe to grind here is with having planning and zoning who meets the need, who meets all the criteria, not do this role, especially when it's more efficient and when it's cost saving.
Councilman McCarthy.
So, Councilman Harji, you keep bringing up efficiency, but isn't not the efficiency aspect of it exactly why we're in this predicament? Because again, we did not listen to what the DIFAC had been bringing up all these times. And so I guess my concern is I always hear about efficiency, but yet when efficiency comes into checks and balances and we end up where we're at, how does that efficiency actually come out as efficiency? I guess my question now is, if we don't feel that these applicants are qualified, there is no harm in having another body as a checks and balance and having set of eyes on this so that we do not end up again where we're at.
I'll tell you this, I didn't say any of them are not qualified. I think that they're all qualified. Like I said, that was my kind of compromise, like to get this thing going, I'll take 2 of the 5. I know one of them sitting right in the front row. So I'm amenable. You put in.
Like how long ago?
Like 2 years ago.
No.
No,
Just
this wasn't
you can email.
Mayor,
Yeah.
Mayor.
Councilman, Councilman McCarthy.
So thank you for pointing that out, because if we already have one applicant who is a non-development, I believe Mr. Dudley was not considered in this 5 applicant pool. So if he applies into it, you could appoint him, and the DIFAC would then be meeting their requirements, which would
And
be,
he could record it and keep the minutes too.
hey, we're killing two birds with one stone.
For one. Gotcha.
I'm
So, not to put Mr. Dudley on the spot here, but I would hope that he would want to put in for it so that
He did.
the DIFAC.
I would like to concur, the lumberyard reference, he doesn't reside in the city of Mountain Home. He's disqualified.
Mayor,
Councilman McCarthy.
Tiffany, thank you so much for that. I talked to Jeff about that because of our new intergovernmental agreement with the
How-
city. Well, now we've changed the service area.
I agree, your ordinance doesn't reflect that specific to development impact fee. So you would have to, I believe, amend your code to address the service area. I as well talked to Jeff, so I'm just saying.
So it sounds like Jeff giving all of us a special counsel.
Just
They
depends.
all
I'm
want to
liking this.
It just
Councilman
depends
Murphy.
what words you're
That's,
talking.
that's a great point. So now I have the question of,
You could call him and ask him if reliable.
if that's the same, then that would apply to the planning and zoning, because our city ordinance requires that we have someone that lives outside in the county. So thus now we don't
We
have
got
it.
those.
We do.
Yeah, we do.
We have individuals that reside in the area of impact in
Sorry.
the county.
Clarification before, when we had them, it was the city service area.
No, we have Roder. William,
Mayor,
Councilman.
before, Paul, what was the city's service area before we did the intergovernmental agreement?
Before what?
Before,
Area of impact, wasn't it?
area of service, what was the area of service before we had the intergovernmental agreement with the county,
I have no idea.
the city limits? So my question then is that because of that, when P&D has a requirement by our ordinance to have a member who lives in the county, is that not a conflict? When the area of service is the city limits of Mountain Home?
Mayor.
I don't know. I'd have to take a look.
Councilman Harjo.
You're fishing, wanting me to.
So
You're
council-
leading me astray, and I don't like that.
Here's the thing, council. I put this on here as an action deliberation decision to reinstate resolution 2025R, thereby reestablishing the planning and zoning commission to serve at the capacity of development impact fee. I'm asking also to add 2 more members to the board. That was my ask for tonight. So if that's not what this council or this body wants to do, then we could go back to the drawing board. Councilwoman Workala.
Let's just appease everybody and just do the blending option. So we got people that are on P and Z that want to serve, kudos, great. We have people that applied who want to serve, great. We can combine them both and move forward. There.
I like it.
Okay.
Perfect. So is that a motion?
Mayor,
Oh,
Mayor,
Go ahead, Councilman.
Councilwoman Worklow, was that your motion?
well, that was really a bad motion if it was. Would you like me to clean that up?
So let
All
me choose 2 to bring back for the next council meeting to put on the planning zone.
To, you mean like vacant? I mean to, say that again.
Yeah, I would like to take out of the 5 that applied, or 6 that applied, I'll take 2 and then put them on the P and Z that will serve also as the DIFAC.
Okay, hang on. How many that applied are qualified? I'm so sorry.
I have no
but-
idea.
Okay.
I don't
Jeff.
know. Jeff has been the one who's been in
That's-
all of this.
This is what I want to say.
I don't know.
Who's
why-
ever
I'm out.
eligible, because you can have up to how many? How many? is it?
11.
11. So who's ever eligible and is raising their hand that they want to do the duty, put them along with the P and Z so everyone can serve.
I agree.
Mayor,
Councilman Harjo.
I'll make a motion to reinstate Resolution 2025R, thereby reestablishing Planning and Zoning Commission to serve in the capacity of the Development Impact Fee Committee, with the addition of 2 additional members to be appointed by the mayor per state law and ordinance.
All right, it's been a motion. Do I have a second? Well, then it puts me over.
No, it doesn't.
Yeah, it does.
Yes, it does.
Thought I had 7 currently.
5, you can go to 11. I don't know where you're gonna seat everybody, but sure. 11
numbers
chairs.
The numbers work.
I,
So I'm asking for 2.
I have to, like,
And that wasn't my ask. Anyone who wants to serve, who put in their application, bring them in if they're eligible per state law or code, whatever, and then
So 5 just that are eligible.
Yeah.
Not the 5 currently. Hey, come on down, Topher.
You're probably holding your breath back there, Topher.
broke his butt.
Council, I have one question. Why do you find that the Planning and Zoning Commission isn't qualified to do the things that is needed to do?
It's not that, Mayor.
Councilwoman.
Oh my gosh, it's not that at all. You taught my son. I think you're
Exactly
brilliant.
what it is.
But
No, but what I'm saying is that what he made a comment, he says, it does not hurt for checks and balances, right? It doesn't hurt to have a separate committee to oversee certain guidelines to pass on, right? When you start putting multiple duties on just one committee, then that's where the checks and balances might get a little bit muddy.
but here's my problem with that is those checks and balances are exactly what we do as a Planning and Zoning Commission. We have to know everything that is going on in the CIP.
Right.
So all of the growth, which we could have addressed by now, but we can't have a DIFAC because this is where we're at. We could have been addressing that for the past month and a half, but we haven't been because somebody doesn't feel as though the Planning and Zoning is qualified to where we can be and what we need to do. Now, with all due respect, Councilman McCarthy, there's a difference between transparency and control. And what I'm hearing from you is you want control and not transparency, because as Councilman Harjo has stated, there is multiple things within our ordinances alone that we must follow. And if not, we have council that says you can't do that. So this is our checks and balances right here with Jeff and with Paul. I mean, that's if really checks and balances is what you're concerned with, every single planning and zoning committee meeting we have, we are always turning to council and saying, where are we at with this? Is this okay? So I'm not sure where we have to go, well, we need 2 more, or we need 3 more, or we just need a completely separate, because to be honest with you, we are doing on the council what you need us to do.
We're adding to it, Mayor. I'm so sorry.
Councilwoman Workla.
We are adding to it, right? So you're already doing it, but then with the new CIP you're going to be adding to it.
Because we have to follow the CIP.
Right, but to amend the new CIP, which we already proved tonight, it's not correct.
Right. So then we still then, as the Planning and Zoning Commission, knowing what the CIP needs to say and what we have to follow, we have that then recommended to you as the council from the Planning and Zoning Commission. So we're following our own what we set up with the CIP and within the DIFAC committee. We are following that.
Mayor.
Councilman McCarthy. Okay, Scott. Or Councilman Harjo.
Thank you for your comments. And that seems that you made the statement that you think this is about control, or that I don't think P&Z is qualified, where to the point of what is the harm with having another independent body that works with you and having these qualified applicants on that to give more experience and more eyes on this. So again, if the conversation or the taking away was that I was saying P&Z was not qualified, that is not by any means what I am saying. The point of being is that there can be an independent body like other municipalities do. Why not have another independent body that can help with this recommendations that go to you, and you guys are another set of eyes on it, and then it comes to city council. Where the problem is, in the beginning of the CIP, it was not listened to by experts who were architects or any of these contractors and that, and they were discussing how the cost of it or the growth rates were not what they were going to be, which we now see, and yet it went unheard and went on. So if we're taking out another body that can help with recommendations, is that not setting us up, I wouldn't say setting up, taking away from another or adding expertise to it?
You ever heard of too many cooks in the kitchen? That's exactly what this argument is. This argument is, how many people do we want to have eyes on something that if we have one body doing that, that's already doing that, why do we need more? If government is always about bureaucracy, then sure, get another committee, because that's what government is good at, is committees. Or if you want to move along with progress, you trust the people who are there doing the job, knowing what to do, give them the authority to then move forward with recommendations for a council so we can get things done. It's an argument of bureaucracy in my mind.
Mayor, Councilman Harjo had a, he was next.
Topher, amen. Amen. As somebody that I've worked with on planning and zoning and sat on that body, this tile that is up here from Councilman McCarthy's presentation is the very one that I argued the same night that we had our joint session. Planning and zoning had adjourned their meeting. This topic comes up on the council's agenda. The statements made here that the benefits of separation are impartial land use decisions. That is specifically Idaho Code 6765. That is the actual legislative intent for planning and zoning. Clear statutory compliance, 67, 8305, I think is what it is for development impact fee. Again, these are the qualified people. These are the experts in this field. This is the more efficient for the actual action. This is more efficient for the dollar, the taxpayer dollar, and this is more efficient for staff time. Full stop.
Mayor. Hang on a second, right before I let you go. Was there a motion made? If there was no motion made, was there?
There
I made a motion.
Made a motion.
Well, he
Scott
made
made
it.
a
He
motion.
made Scott made it.
And Jenny
Okay,
said,
so really quick, there's been a motion made. Do I have a second?
Stand by.
stand by.
Are you okay if we bring two more on that applied? Or are you still saying, damn it, Jenny, why can't you trust me?
I mean, if it's two that y'all need because you want transparency,
No,
it's then it's two. But if you already have people that are doing the job, there should be no conversation to this. It should be as simple as, hey, we got these people doing the thing. Let's make them do this thing. It's all in unison. Let's go. But that's not the conversation that we're having. It's a bureaucracy conversation, and that government's good at that. But I'm saying if you want progress and movement forward, we could have addressed the 1.3% that you talked about earlier tonight within the past 2.5 months. But we haven't been because DIFAC's nowhere here. Planning and zoning could have been having that conversation already. But we're not. That's what I'm saying.
Mayor.
Councilwoman.
Second.
Been a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Hearing none, I'll call for the question. Councilman Sanders.
Nay.
Councilman McCarthy.
Aye.
Councilwoman Workla.
Aye.
Councilman Harjo.
Aye.
Mayor votes aye.
So we're adding two more. Yes?
Yeah.
Okay.
That was
Okay.
a part
All
of the
right.
motion.
I know. I just want to make sure.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, really quick, council, I wanted to address some of the wastewater concerns that we've been talking about. The wastewater concerns obviously was the 75 million that Keller gave back, or came back, or the 100 and, what was it, 10 million? And correct me if I'm wrong with my numbers. So I have, how do I annotate this? Just like I think we all are very cognizant of, we all have taxpayers, or I should say fee payers that we're worried about if we did the wastewater treatment plant. And what was that, like $55 or $75 extra a month? And we all have people that we know in our constituencies or our areas that say, I can't afford that. We also have people that we're trying to find funding for Cell Lagoon 10, and it's been brought up twice that we didn't get the funding for it. Okay, so I've come up with I think a pretty good alternative for everybody, where it doesn't hit the rate fee payer. We're probably gonna bring it back to council if you guys so agree with it, but to do LaSalle Lagoon 10 with our own money. Go out for RFQ or RFP, or request qualification, seal bids to put in Cell Lagoon 10, and then bring that back to the council. and put that in, and that gets us to, we're not worried about the 85% capacity, la da da da. We don't have to have discussion of the wastewater treatment facility for the next, well, just until we can figure out the funding mechanisms for a wastewater treatment facility. I still think that the city in the future will definitely need a wastewater treatment facility, but there's a twofold application when I want to say this. So then in, let's say we go out for all this funding and we still don't get it, hopes and dreams, right, Councilman McCarthy? And we don't get the hopes and dreams. Then we do is with our own funding, our own money, we do Cell Lagoon 5 and 6, which are the clay lined ones. And the following year, let's see, next year would be Cell Lagoon 10. And then in the incumbents years, if you guys got to build up your reserve funds, well, with all the new builds, we fund it all in-house. So with that, I know I just threw a lot at you, but if I can find a way to procure Cell Lagoon 10 using our own money, nobody else's money, and I can do it for like $4 million. What's your thought process on that? Should I bring that to the council?
Mayor,
Councilman Harjo?
I'm intrigued. If we can make that happen in that price range, it's an attractive idea. I'd like to know the details about it.
Okay. Remember, we got a quote back. What was it, 10 million or 12 million from Keller's to put in Cell Lagoon 10. They've already done the engineering of that whole cell. So my thought process, just like we did with the solar bees, is we go out, we do an RFQ or a request for proposal, RFP, and we get back a company that is licensed, fully assured, bonded, DEQ approved, all that. They have their own stamps. They follow the Keller's design. I think we have a workaround, but let me get more details in that aspect, because I know we have something April 30th. We have the Keller presentation here moving forward. I'm just curious to hear your guys' thought processes. I know I just threw a lot at you.
On the agenda.
What's that?
Put on the next meeting agenda.
Okay. Thoughts,
Mr. Mayor,
Councilman?
I too am curious to see more specifics, and tongue in cheek, I will say, don't forget the in kind on your budget when you propose it.
Oh, it won't be in kind. No, because I'm not going down that path again. No, we have been in talks, trying to figure out a way to fund it. And right now, we know for a fact from our financial advisors that Clearwater, that DEQ right now is only funding, what was it, 10% of their total projects allocated in the state. And with the state's fiscal issues right now at the State House, we don't foresee funding in that capacity anytime soon. So 75 million is gone. Unless we were, I think, at dire, like we were at capacity at over 85%. So we have to get ingenious. And I think what the state government does is they go, you know what? We're going to put that on the cities and the counties to figure out, because you guys are good at that. And, and it hurts cities. So I will say that the state left the levy rate alone, which helps counties and cities quintessentially do their budget. We know, which was good. So here moving forward, I will, no in kind, but I will bring you back a proposal that we've been working on for the past probably 3-4 weeks for the citizens of Mountain Home, because I know I have a lot of constituents that just honestly say I can't afford a bond, I can't afford the rate to go up that high, and I think we all have, I know we all have the same constituents that say that we can't afford it. So give me some time, and when I get the proposal and all that to you guys, I will bring it forward. We had some good progress on it the last couple days, So I have Stacy at the Public Works and Chris working on it. So Chris was here, he could probably give you a better synopsis of it, of where we're trying to push into the future as well.
Final comment?
Yep.
Okay. Several things. First of all, I want to give a shout out to Amber. How many hours does it take to do the minutes? 30 some?
34.
It just depends.
That's a whole work week. Wow, that's amazing. I thought it was all recorded and it was just tweaking it. I'm so sorry, Amber. That's a lot.
Wow. I'll just for
No,
fun, I'll show you the transcription of Microsoft Teams.
Yeah,
Like,
that's crazy. So thank you. I just want to make a statement. I'm confused why you voted nay on that last one over on this side of the table. You're the one that put the idea in my head that other cities are collaborate and bring up both sides, right? Have PNZ work with DIFAC. So you brought up the idea. I went with it. I don't know why you vote nay. Okay, got that on record. Third thing, Mayor, I'm going to come after you. I called you yesterday and I warned you.
Yep.
Okay. So there's been emails going out from the golf community stating that we have a golf pro, a city golf pro. I just want you to clarify that we do not have a pro assigned to Desert Canyon Golf Course, and that the council will be making their decision on which way to move forward with either a city employee pro, a contracted pro, or a lease pro out to a third party. I asked also that the next golf advisory meeting is May 4th, so then after they meet, have them come on May 12th so they can present the recommendations on what direction we should take with the golf course and the pro. I need to make that clear for record because right now there's rumors that there's an individual out there is stating that they're taking lessons with the title of Desert Canyon Director of Instruction. There's pricing, there's ideas on how the golf shop is going to move forward. I just need it for clarification. That's not a thing, correct? That's not happening? Or is that happening? Is there an individual doing that underneath?
We talked about this yesterday.
I know, but is it underneath the guise of being a city, ties to the city, right? I know this person's a seasonal worker, but are we advertising him as the new pro, new city pro?
I haven't advertised anybody. I said we have a seasonal worker that happens to be a pro. Just like any pro could come out to the city and give lessons. Anybody can come. So at the end of the day, that's where we're at.
Okay, no, thank you. I just want to clarify because the email that's going out to like the women's league, it says our new golf pro so-and-so is officially at the golf course and is anxious to meet everyone. So we don't have a golf pro assigned to the city.
I would say Chris is a city employee that is a pro. That's it.
Mayor.
All right, what else we got cooking?
Mayor.
Final comments. Oh, Councilman Archer, sorry.
To build upon Councilwoman Workela's question and statement there, this council had a fundamental issue with having our golf concessionaire as a sitting member of the Golf Advisory Committee. The individual that is a seasonal employee of the city has become a seasonal employee of the city around about within the same several week time frame as being appointed to that committee. I think if we're going to take that approach with the concessionaire, we should be taking that approach with our employee as well. That perhaps the logical thing to do here is invite our concessionaire, invite our golf staff as advisors and listeners to that body. Again, reassuring that Golf Advisory Committee does not control a budget or have line authority over the staff or our contractor, but to hear those concerns in real time by the assembled advisory committee. I think it is, if we're going to say that having the concessionaire is inappropriate, I would also then say that having a city employee is also, the city employee working at that facility is also a conflict.
Okay.
Moving on. This is for Mayor and Paula. The budget is coming up. We have staff memos in here. I really appreciate what the finance department and the budget timeline. Paula, thank you. That's a file that we've shared back and forth several times in just in the textual context of the workflow of the weeks and months leading up to budget. We have several new council members. Mayor and Paula, would you be willing to share with the council at perhaps an earlier date than what we have experienced in the past, so the council can look at expense sheets, revenue sheets, whatever's available, whether that's in draft or I understand that we're still early in the process of solidifying that on the administrative side, but to give kind of that early aspect where council members can go interact with the department heads earlier than what is typical, so we can gain an understanding of what's to come.
Right. In full transparency, guys, I want you guys to know that right now we have sat down at ELT and just talked about kind of their budgets they've gotten with Paula, but fiscally conservatives is my key takeaway from sitting up here. So I want to make sure at the end of the day we start 26, 27 in looking fiscally responsible and really good. So definitely, it's you got to remember, if we're going to send it to you early, it's still draft. So don't take it as gospel. That's all I ask. Mm-hmm. Go ahead.
Mayor and Council, I only have the expenditures done. I don't have revenue, cash carryover. But I definitely have there are notes from departments kind of on the right-hand side in orange that you might see, but again, it's a draft. So yeah, I can send that out in the morning if that works, but when I get the revenue done, I'm happy to share that.
Paula, maybe understanding that those expenditure sheets are in draft, we could watermark those and maybe even password lock that, so like there's no confusion in the sense that like when we obtain that draft copy that like we're not a month down the road, we're not like pulling up the wrong one on our computer and going, hey, and creating a problem.
Don't print them, Council.
They're not even ready. They're not even ready.
Because I don't want you to be comparing.
Yeah. So, and then if you find notes or, you're confused on what the department heads are requesting, that's absolutely a great opportunity to reach out to them or me before written in the meeting.
So
Right.
when you guys get your budget in the meeting, it will be finalized by the department heads and city staff, and then you guys can rip it to shreds. But just know that, just give us some time so we can make sure that we had some issues last year. We sat, talking about golf course and all that. And then we ended up having to fix some of the things during the budgeting season. So we don't want to be in that predicament again. We want to know every line item is specific to each line item, have an explanation to you guys in quantifiable detail for you guys to understand. So,
Mayor.
Councilman Harjo.
To follow that, for my fellow council, we've talked in the past about the opportunity for council to have training sessions, and I understand the need for that. I wanted to point out, because we're approaching budget season, Association of Idaho Cities recently sent us an email within the last maybe 2 or 3 emails that they've sent that had a link to download the 2027 AIC budget manual. You do have to be a member to access that. It's a free download, costs the city nothing, in addition to the normal dues that we pay for that. But that document has been a wealth of knowledge. It's published annually. It has up-to-date aspects of state budgeting, how legislation has affected cities, even so much as the definition of terminology and what funds mean and what other terminology actually by legal definition is. I would highly recommend going and reading that. It is a long read, unfortunately, and it's not the most exciting thing at times, but it is very comprehensive. So I would suggest taking a look at that. Lastly, dispatch agreement. We have, previous council went rounds about this. This council, as of today, we have 229 days left on our 2-year countdown after the cancellation of the dispatch agreement. Previous council met with the county commissioners regarding what their concerns were, what the asks were. The majority of those asks were very straightforward. Some of them were not necessarily pertaining to the dispatch agreement itself. In July of last year, mayor, staff, chiefs sat down and put together a draft of the document that put a lot of modern intelligence to the things that the previous contract had not necessarily captured in terms of simple things like asking for an invoice from the county commission, putting the payment due date on a 60-day net, because as parallel agencies, our funding is activated at different times throughout our fiscal years. I would ask this council and the mayor the support to bring that draft in either the next council meeting or the following, get our language ironed out, create a joint session with the county commission, and go address it directly.
Question on that real quick. Where is it? Isn't it sitting with them?
Mm-hmm.
The draft that we came up with?
Yep.
What's wrong with that draft?
My offer to bring that to this is if our new members had anything
Gotcha. Okay.
to add to that. That was drafted and approved by a previous council. I do think that as it sits, it was efficient and straightforward. Regardless, I would like to get in front of the county commission and start working on actual dialogue so we can get this reinstated in the interest of public safety.
All right. Councilman McCarthy?
Do you have any final comments, Councilman?
I do, but he called you, so you're first.
Go ahead, Councilman McCarthy.
I'll defer to Councilman Sanders.
Okay, meeting adjourned.
That would be the wisest move. I am going to track back as the council liaison for the Golf Advisory Committee, board, whichever it is. I was not prepared to have the city employee that was recently hired as seasonal staff present in the meeting. My radar got piqued when a gentleman said, "I teach you lessons, but none of you can afford me." Those were his words. And I wondered to myself, because I recall signing off on his hiring sheet with his rate, that why would anyone with that level of expertise, with that level of background, be willing to work for that rate? So I went in today and asked of our HR to show me the job description for that seasonal employee position, only to find that the city does not keep job descriptions for seasonal employees, which on the one hand says that a seasonal employee could do anything directed by the mayor. And in this instance, based upon the information that's been relayed to me by members of the men's and the women's league, this particular employee is performing duties that I find more associated with the manager's position than I do a seasonal employee's position. My concern with that is I was raised in a system where you had duties commensurate to grade. That does not appear to be the case here. And there has been occasion in federal world where when someone's performing duties far above their grade, when they were separated, they sued and won for not being paid commensurate to the work that we're being asked to perform. So that's my concern, Mr. Mayor. We handle a seasonal employee, especially when there's no job description out there. We're careful how we use them.
Mayor.
Yep.
I have the same concerns that it wasn't relayed to us that we were having the seasonal hire that was going to actually be on the Golf Advisory Committee, so I do have the same concerns, especially since we did discuss that with the contractor. So figure out how to go about that, I guess. So also the agree, I would like to invite, say this, open dialogue with the county commissioners so we can get the dispatch agreement going. It's something that's definitely is go. So if we can get a workshop or whatnot going, I think that would be great, especially since we are on the clock. So as to the comment, I think
Bring it.
of the nay
Yeah.
and asking about the P and Z, the piece was that there's a city that has two separate bodies and that they have two members on each of those bodies that wear the same hat.
My bad.
I think it's disappointing, again, the way it is, but it's interesting to me how it seems to be all smoke and mirrors to cover up that nothing's happening and we could have gotten this done with P&Z and all that, but wouldn't it have been so amazing if we had gotten this done when the DIFAC had been bringing this up in the past and that? So I hope that what transpired tonight does not dismiss accountability for the past with this administration. So with that being said, with that.
Wait, don't hit the gavel, Mayor.
Yes, ma'am.
You can always bring something back. There you go.
Mr. Mayor,
Councilman
It's
Sanders?
not working.
I hope this is the last comments made on this. With reference to the discussion that just occurred,
Mhm.
my nay vote came from a perception of talk a lot about Idaho code, but the whole purpose behind that chapter was to establish and to govern the operations of that committee. The fact that a P&Z could also be allowed to do that was not the primary focus of the writing of that chapter. It was if you don't want to have a DIFAC, here's a way out. You can do it with your P&Z. But if you're going to do a DIFAC, you do it this way. If you have a P&Z do it, they're going to do it these duties that way. And I've also not only campaigned on, but I believe in trust but verify. When we lose the ability to do that, then we can fall into that part of our humanity that makes errors, and there's nobody there to catch them unless we catch them ourselves. And hence my nay vote. Thank you.
Okay. Meeting adjourned.
Hey, I made it 30.
No.
You can say anything you want. Meeting's done.
I know, I wanted to before, but Paul said no.